universe is different from those other people that get their news from TV and, watch the game and do everything that's appropriate and get rewarded by society and all of this. These poor fellows have a rigidity view that may indeed cause huge psychological problems. And we had seen this actually in some of our earlier reports. And I tied it to the sun disease and all this other stuff because monkey mind wants to know it. We have this archetype of people standing, literally walking across the street, all of a sudden struck dumb by a thought, and standing there drooling for the rest of the day until someone gets them and moves them, that kind of a deal. And those sorts of things, they're still pending. They're still in the Space Coast Parts entity. I had initially thought it was, like Gurdjieff said, a solar influence, which it may well be because we're getting bombarded with so many of those, but it also may be a practical mental response to the overburdening of their worldview that now has to be shattered in order to accommodate what their officials are telling them is in existence now. And that's difficult. Most people would rather go into active denial of a fact than change a worldview that they've put a number of years' investment in, or that they've been trained into all of their lives. And I'm really afraid of the impact that will have on who knows how many people in our society.
Well, you cover that in The Standing Dead.
Yes.
That is so apt, and we know that is the way it is with humans. So I think it is important. If people go to halfpasthuman.com and just get that report, read it. Have a piece of pie handy.
Take a couple of naps, yeah.
Take a couple of naps if you need to. It really is not, sometimes we make it sound like it is a frightening thing. It isn't. It is what is.
Well, I think
simply, and
because we're used to it more. We're not being shocked by this as a first-time information, and that's his point, I think, about the rigid paradigm.
Yes.
Yeah, it takes a lot of energy. I mean, when you think about it, it's actually a physical process that people have to overcome. They spend, look at how the religions use this. You ever see these people that in TV that are Jewish and they've got the little cube taped to their head and they go bobbing a lot?
Yes.
Okay, and you notice also that the Muslim schools, the madrasas, have the learning of the Arabic language through the Quran accompanied by chanting and bobbing?
Yes.
Okay, this relates to a mechanism within the physical universe in which pathways are burned with more electrical energy, biochemical electrical energy in your brain relative to certain learning experiences. This is also used in subliminals, neuro-linguistic programming, even when they try and say you can learn a language by having music playing. All of this is true because of the way in which the pathways are burned in your brain. And so the physical bobbing up and down actually adds more physical energy to getting that information into your brain from the madrasa's viewpoint. And from the Jewish viewpoint, what they're doing is they're spiraling or circling in on a particular thought and basically denying the rest of the universe while they're concentrating on this particular thought as they're bobbing up and down with this little black cube on their head. Curious that, of course, they have the black cube on their head, and the Islamists, the Mohammedans, have the black cube in the middle of Mecca in the Hajj. And so there's all these black cubes around, cube being a representation of interlocked tetrahedrons that are fixed. Again, just a strange aside. But within these people's individual minds, and we see this to a certain extent with the repetition and the prayers within the Christian religion, they're attempting to create pathways that are of such a force that you will actively deny reality in order to go back to the comfort of those easily fired off neurons within that specific pathway. And that's really what they're counting on. And that's what the military or anybody that trains someone counts on. You're a pilot. You go in through the pilot training and you go into the simulator. They're burning in pathways in your brain. They attempt to do it such that if there is a reaction, something something untoward, that you don't think, you just jump from pathway to pathway to pathway that already exists without doing any determination, and they've trained you in the form in which those pathways must be addressed to effectively solve the problem. And that level of structure is what I'm talking about in terms of rigidity of view. How much it takes with how many people, it depends on their individual karmic life and so on, but I suspect a number of individuals, maybe on the order of millions, would have a real mental breakdown trying to accommodate a wholly new worldview.
Absolutely.
Oh, beautifully explained and very clear. It shall be fascinating to watch this.
Well, I'm saying this to people because when you see the poor bastard in the middle of the road drooling, get out of your car and gently help him over and sit him down on a bench somewhere.
You know what's going on.
Right.
Well, Cliff, we got to take another break with that. So,
sure.
You're listening to Cliff on Beyond the Ordinary. We'll be back right after this.
We're all connected to each other, biological, to the earth, chemical, to the rest of the universe, atomic.
I think nature's imagination is so much greater than man's. He's never gonna let us relax.
We live in an in-between universe where things change alright, but according to patterns, rules, or as we call them, laws of nature.
I'm just standing on a planet. Really, I'm just a speck compared with a star. The planet is just another speck. To think about all of this, to think about the vast emptiness of space. There's billions and billions of stars, billions and billions of specks. The beauty of a living thing is not the atoms that go into it, but the way those atoms are put together.
With Cliff at halfpasthuman.com, and it's so cool that we get to have you at least a little while longer.
Precious few moments left.
And the reason, as Cliff put it, and go to his website and you can read a portion that he's put up that is fabulous. Pay heed to it and do something. And kind of free your mind. It's going to be very necessary. And look forward to pi.
There you go, yeah. Take what you can from material universe. There's enough suffering out there. Do what you can to relieve that you can.
And for people that haven't read your reports, if there's any online listening, I borrowed that from you because you speak about just eating pie, and I love that. Now, can you talk about what we were asking you about on the break?
Sure, that's the idea that the symbols that the powers that be use against us, and in fact their entire technique or method, can be in turn adopted by us and used against them. And I find that if we look at it from an Aikidoist or martial arts viewpoint, then basically what we need to do in confronting these individuals is be non-cooperative, because we don't want to cooperate with evil, but we don't want to be violent. We want to be non-violent, because, as I said, they know how to deal with violence. They're schooled in that very effectively. And you also place yourself in a point of weakness by succumbing to violence, because they're forcing you down that path so they can control you. And then the other is the non-participation. In whatever way, you can always say, no, I won't participate in, helping you, the powers that be, put these people in prison, that kind of thing. Or in any way dealing with your particular, how do I want to say it, agenda on this planet. Now, they use a whole level of symbols that they've inculcated into our minds over time from various different forms of propaganda, everything from the everybody stand up and do group activity in the United States Pledge of Allegiance, to the everybody go to giant mass gatherings in, Nazi Germany or Communist Russia or Communist China, and everybody get into the same sort of mindset. All the powers that be are doing in these various techniques is attempting to build within our brain, if you will, a library. And what they're attempting to do is they over time, they put in a particular symbol, and then they give you various different meanings for that symbol, again, over time. It's hidden, it's out in plain sight, you just don't pay attention to it. It's in the symbols that are on the cars you drive, and the symbols of the gas stations from when you buy gas, the symbol on the bread wrapper, all of these symbols that surround you, you're inundated in them, you swim in them. And they have assigned values in your brain to each and every one of these symbols. Their goal is to be able to activate those values and cause you to think in specific ways for their benefit. So, For instance, you'll note on a macro scale, we have a situation here where all religions have a hierarchy, and it's a hierarchical, patriarchal system that starts with God and goes through, angels, down to official representatives on earth, down to their representatives, down all the way, finally, to you. And you are, in fact, at the very bottom of this religious pyramid, and it sits on top of you. Now, that symbology is used to control you through the religion itself, but also through the environment in which you find yourself. Now, the way to use the symbols to your benefit, which is to say, against the agenda of the powers that be. You never want to attack a person. You never want to attack the structure itself. It's not necessary.